Golf Smarter number 357, published on November 13, 2012. Featuring our Score Zone Short Game Academy, where the wedge guy helps us improve those frustrating chip shots just off the green.
Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans, your second chance to gain insight and advice from the best instructors featured on the Golf Smarter podcast. Great golf instruction never gets old. Our interview library features hundreds of hours of game improvement conversations like this that are no longer available in any podcast app.
With Speedgolf, since time is a factor, there's really no time to walk around the green and read the putt from all kinds of different angles. You just got to get up and hit it. It's amazing how often the instincts are correct. It's easy to overthink things. So the idea of just getting up, taking a quick instinctive look, and then just putting it and then going on, it's really amazing how well you can putt like that. You know, on the first day I had 4 or 5 birdies. So that's one of the benefits, I guess. And then since you have to run with your clubs, most guys play with 4 to 7 clubs. I played with a driver, a 20-degree hybrid, a 5-iron, an 8-iron, and a 52-degree wedge, and then a putter. Really, that's all the clubs that you need to be able to play. It teaches you to play shots. There's very rarely a time in Speedgolf where you'll have a shot that's a perfect distance. And for that matter, you don't have time to calculate the distance.
Shooting par in less than an hour with Jaacob Bowden.
This is Golf Smarter. Each week we tap the best minds in golf to help lower your scores with tips, drills, insights, and advice. In conversation with course pros, architects, authors, players, teaching gurus, and coaches, here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Jaacob.
Hello, Fred. It's nice to be back.
It's good to have you back. Where are you today?
Today I'm in Zurich, Switzerland.
And that is home.
Yes, home for right now.
Home for right now. Here we are recording at the beginning of November. It's getting to be the off season for golf for you, correct?
It is. It is.
How short is your season up there?
In Switzerland, a lot of the courses are starting to close now, and most of them will be closed within the next month. Kind of December, January, February, most of them are closed, with the exception of a couple like covered driving ranges or a course here and there that you can go out on if there's no frost. So normally in the winter time like this, I'll find my way to some warmer destination for a few weeks to break up the winter.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine that it's a golf destination.
No, not really.
It's for those who play golf there. It's like, get me out of here! Help!
Oh, there's some good courses, but
is there bad courses? Come on, are there bad courses anywhere? As long as you're on a golf course, this is good.
Right. If it's a golf course, then it's a good course.
Yeah, exactly. So generally, and in the times that you've been on the show, we've talked about your website, Swingman Golf, and swing speed training, increasing your swing speed and the instruction that you give. But we're going to change gears a little bit and talk about a different type of speed because you recently participated in the Speedgolf Championships.
Speedgolf World Championships, yes.
I'm sorry, the World Championships.
Yes.
Wow. So, and that happened at Abandoned Dunes on the west coast of the United States.
That's correct.
How did you get from swing speed to speed golf?
I was perusing on Facebook one day, and one of my family members came across a video that was a time-lapsed video of a guy named Chris Smith playing around a speed golf at Abandoned Dunes. And I thought the video was really a cool video. And sometime shortly after that, I saw a promo for the World Championships, and so I contacted the tournament organizer, and I was able to get in.
It's interesting because I did a little research before we did this, and I typed in Speed Golf Championships, Bandon Dunes, and Speed Golf World Championships in Bandon Dunes, and I found that Chris Smith video. I will put it on the on golfsmarter.com on the blog because it's really compelling. It's interesting because it's only like 7-8 minutes long. And you feel like you got the point after the first 2 minutes, but it's hard to turn it off.
Yeah, it's
really well produced.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job, and it's hard to not continue watching it, even though you know what's going to happen. Yeah. But there's something really amazing about someone shooting under par in under an hour on a course like Bandon Dunes.
All right, so now that you've let the cat out of the bag, explain what speed golf is, so we can attack my list of questions about it. But what is speed golf?
It's basically like regular golf, except that you run in between shots. So the total score. Your total score is your running time or just the time that it takes you to play, plus your regular golf score.
Yeah. So I didn't get that when I was looking at the scorecards here. It seemed like the guy who won wasn't the lowest scores, nor was he the fastest runner, but he still won. How does that work out?
It's a 2-day competition.
Okay.
And so, I forget his exact numbers, but he was a little bit over par, I think on both days, but then under an hour both days. And just the total combination of his 2 times and his 2 golf scores were enough to win.
So let's absorb this for just a second. He played 18 holes in under an hour, and shot under par.
My 2 rounds were over par. My first round was 75, but first round was 75 in 61 minutes, and then I think I didn't play as well on the second day. I had 78 in 56 minutes. So I after the first day I was sitting 5th, and I figured that I need to win. I needed to come in 5 minutes faster and just clean up my mistakes a little bit. And I came in 5 minutes faster, but unfortunately I just didn't play as well the second day. So I ended up remaining in 5th place, and my total score was about six back of the lead. So it was which is really close to the lead. Actually, you maybe make 3 or 4 shots less, and then you save 1 or 2 minutes from having to run around for those shots, and then it's right there. So I was close. It was really an honor to be in the mix with these guys, especially with a guy like Chris Smith. He's a great guy, and he has Guinness, the Guinness record for speed golf. I forget exactly what it is, but I think it was a 65 5 under in, I don't know exactly, 43 minutes or something like that. I mean, it was just really amazing.
And Bandon Dunes, I've yet to play there, but I've not heard anybody come back from there saying, well, that was a breeze. That was easy. Bandon Dunes is a tough course.
Yeah, it is. And it's like true links golf, too. It's right on the coast. It's absolutely beautiful. And
I've heard people say that it is the closest thing to true links Scottish golf that we have in the United States.
Yeah, I would agree. I've played a number of links courses in the U.S., and although they were quote-unquote links courses, you couldn't really run the ball up to the green or putt from 50 yards away. But Bandon, you can do that. They have 5 courses there. It plays I don't know if you or any of the listeners have played St Andrews, but it's the only course outside of the UK there, or the only one in the US that I've played that really does play like a true links course. I remember one of the par threes was, I don't know, somewhere between 130, 150 yards or something. And normally, I could hit a wedge or a 9-iron on a hole like that, but I hit a 5-iron and just carried it about halfway and then just rolled it up to the pin. So it's
hitting it right into the wind. You just headed right into the ocean. Is that why?
On that particular shot, the way the hole funneled, I was tired and out of breath. So
there's that.
The idea of taking a little, just kind of bunting a 5-iron just seemed like it would take a lot less energy than taking a full swing. So.
Oh, well, and I want to talk about the mental strategy of something like this. It's got to be completely different, but I'm not there yet. So I'm still having trouble because I don't even run. I've never been a good runner. I just can't imagine. I know that if I drop my towel and I realize that, on the next hole, or I left a club on the last hole or something like that, and I run back to get it and come back, it takes me 3 holes to catch my breath. Right.
Yeah, there is a level of endurance that's required. A normal golf course is going to be 4+ miles, and that's straight from tee to green. So no one's hitting it straight. So you got to add in the zigzagging, plus the distance between the greens and the tee boxes, and then depending on how hilly it is, that can add in a lot of time. It really ends up being maybe 5 or 6 miles. Again, it depends on the course, but then and you're having to not only be running that with all the stopping and starting, but you're carrying your golf bag as well. So it's there is definitely a level of stamina and conditioning that's required to be able to do it at a competitive level.
I'm staring at the numbers that you said. Your first round, you shot a 75 in 61 minutes. Your second round, you shot a 78 in 56 minutes. And I'm trying to figure, how did you get 3 more strokes and 5 less minutes? And I just realized, it's got to be on the putting. How do you do it in less time and have more strokes? That's what baffles me. But it would have to be around the green, right? I don't know. The first day I played really well. I had 4 or 5 birdies, I think. And then, but I on these Bannon, the old Mac course at Bannon has huge greens, and there's all kinds of undulations. So if you get on the wrong part of it, sometimes it's, you're lucky to get up and in 2 putts. I must have had, I forget exactly now. I think I had a 3 putts and a 4 putt with a 75. So, wow. So I actually played pretty good that day. Yeah, clearly.
And this was my first real go with in the competition with the Speedgolf. So I didn't really. There's a little bit of learning there's a learning curve as far as how to pace yourself. So I felt like, you don't want to leave anything out there, but you don't, at the same time, you don't want to wear yourself down so much that you have trouble completing the round or completing your shot. So it's a little tricky to kind of get the hang of it. So the second day I figured like I could clean up my transitions a little bit to make them faster. That would pick up a little bit of time, and then just try and run a little bit faster. And so I was able to do that. But then on the second day, tee to green, I just didn't hit the ball. It's just an off day, and I didn't play as well. I don't think I had any birdies the second day. So
Amazing. So how do you train for this? Are you a runner generally?
No, I have. I'm 36 now, and when I was in my 20s, right after college, I did a number of 5Ks and 10Ks and triathlons, and I did a marathon too, just for looking for ways to continue to stay in shape. But then I got away from it, and so when this came up, it was kind of a way for me I saw it as a way to give me some extra motivation to get back in shape. So I started, first I started on a treadmill just to see if I could do 5 miles. And I at first I did 5 miles in about a little over 55 minutes. Actually, I did it on a track. And then, just to kind of ease my joints into it, I started on a treadmill. And then I did a little bit of track work, and then I did, some trail and city runs, just running around the city as well. It just kind of built up to it. And then over the course of 2 months, in the 2 months that I found out about it and got in, and then the actual competition, I dropped down my 5 mile time down from 55 minutes to a little over 36:12, I think. So I really improved my conditioning a lot.
And you did it in only 2 months?
Yeah. Wow. So I was pushing myself pretty hard, and that once, if you can do 5 miles in, you really need to be able to do it under 40 minutes. Probably the stronger runners could do it in maybe 30 minutes, 5 miles, the stronger speed golfers. And I was 36. So my running, there were some guys that were faster than me, and there were some guys that were slower than me. So conditioning wise, I was kind of in the middle of the pack there by the time the competition rolled around. But all of us were good golfers. We're all of us, we're in the pro division. We've all shot under par in tournaments before. So it's, one of the guys, Chris Moe, he's played in a couple British Opens. Mm-hmm. He's played some tour events. So they're the quality.
I did recognize that name when I was looking down the leader list.
Yeah. So there are, it's not just, average Joe golfers. We're all good golfers, and we're all, pretty decent runners.
Well, that was one of the things that I noticed when I was watching the Chris Smith video that was a promotion for the World Championships, is that guy can putt. I mean, he was nailing birdies from 25, 30 feet, and it's not like you get the opportunity to line up your putt. Well, that's one of the, not everyone is of course going to want to do speed golf, but there are some things that, that Chris does and that the other guys do, and that I've learned just from my experiences of speed golf, that you can apply to your regular game. Like with speed golf, since time is a factor, putting, for you mentioned, there's really no time to walk around the green and read the putt from all kinds of different angles. You just got to get up and hit it. And it's amazing how often the instincts are correct. So it makes golf, rather than the ball is just sitting there, then you react. You have time to think about it, and it's easy to overthink things. So the idea of just getting up, taking a quick instinctive look, and then just putting it, and then going on, it's really amazing how well you can putt. You can putt like that. On the first day, I had 4 or 5 birdies, and we're playing. So that's one of the benefits, I guess. And then since you have to run with your clubs, most guys play with 4 to 7 clubs. I play with Chris, and I play with 6. So I played with a driver, a 20-degree hybrid, a 5-iron, an 8-iron, and a 52-degree wedge, and then a putter. So, another thing is when you play with that, really that's all the clubs that you need to be able to play.
gets away from it. It teaches you to play shots. So there's very rarely a time in speed golf where you'll have a shot that's a perfect distance. And for that matter, you don't have time to like calculate the distance.
Yeah, right. How do you figure out? It's like, okay, so I'm now 165 yards here. Usually 165 yards, I'll pull out my, you probably pull out a 7-iron or something, and it's like, and which club am I going to, you have to calculate that while you're running to the ball, but you have to like, okay, there's the ball, there's the hole. It's about, how do you know?
Well, that's something that is kind of a lost art, I guess, with a lot of golfers in modern golf. I don't know, back 50 plus years ago, there weren't laser range finders. The courses didn't have sprinklers that were marked. It was more of just a look. You pick out a club that you think will hit it where you want to go, and then you just go up and whack it. So golf speed. That's another thing about the speed golf is, I got up to that par 3 there, for example, and it was 130 or 150 yards, and I thought, well, I could hit an 8-iron there, but I'll just take my 5-iron and just react to the target. It's just as you're running up to the shot, you very quickly decide the shot you want to hit. You pull out a club, you just look at the target, and then you instinctively swing. And it's a little scary to play that way at first, but again, it makes golf more instinctual. It takes out a lot of the conscious thought and overthinking that kind of wrecks people's games. Mm-hmm. And it's really amazing how well you can play like that. Try going out for a round and take all your odd irons out, and then just and don't play with any of the distance. Just look at the target, pick something instinctually, and then just let your swing be instinctual too. Just look at like baseball. If an outfielder
see the ball, hit the ball,
gets the ball. Well, like for defense, if an outfielder gets a ball, like he doesn't, pull a rangefinder out of his pocket and then check the yardage to third base or second base or whatever, and then calculate how far he has to swing his arm back and whatever. He just looks and throws. And golf can definitely be played like that, and played like that really well too. So, that's another one of the things that you may not want to play speed golf, but that's one of the things that you can apply to a regular golf game that does speed up play, but then it teaches you to become a better player too, because you learn to be a little bit more of a shot maker and just play instinctually and play by feel. And yeah.
One of the core values of Golf Smarter is the mental game. How important, and in your general golf life, not speed golf, but how important to you is the mental aspect of golf?
I think it's really, really important, especially now as a better player. Technically, I have a good enough technique that I can do all the shots, and I know how to hit all the shots. So for me now, I think most of my improvement here is just on a mental level.
So then how do you apply that when you're running to the ball and just trying to find the ball, and especially at Bandon? I've heard the stories of the fescue there. It's easy to lose balls there. But finding the ball and then looking up towards the flag, and then you've got to get all that in the seconds that it takes for you to get from one shot to the next. Where does the mental game come in there? Well,
I guess because the time is such a factor, and you just you kind of almost are taking a little bit of your conscious brain out of it and playing more on a subconscious level. You just run up to a shot, pick a club, make a swing, and then go. and you don't have time to, if you mess up a shot, you don't have time to kind of fuss about it. You got to move on real quick and make a decision about the next shot. So in that sense, it's been good as well for me mentally. Speedgolf is you have to put the shots that you've played previously behind you because the next one's coming up right away.
Yes, it is. What Fred, I'm like running down all my different points that I want to go. What's the difference in the rules? You can't play the exact same rules as we normally play when we take 4.5 hours to 5 hours to play a round of golf.
There are slight two slight modifications. One is that you're allowed to leave the flag in the interest of saving time.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you don't have to worry about taking the flag out or putting it back in. You just go up and putt. And then the second rule is if you hit out of bounds, if you lose a ball, then you're allowed to drop kind of like a lateral hazard on the line that you went in.
So it's stroke and distance?
Yes. And they treat lost balls and out of bounds like that because they thought it would be too much of a penalty to have to run back to the tee and then run back. It adds not only to you get penalized not only the stroke
but your time,
but your time. It's just too severe of a penalty. So that's the other modification.
How do you like that rule?
I like it. Well, for one, I mean, it saves time. If you ever lose a ball, you don't have to go all the way back. So slow play is a problem with golf. So, so that's, I kind of like the idea of that.
I've always
speeding
been
up the game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we talk, slow play is terrible. How long it takes to play a round of golf is terrible. I've always thought just do stroke and distance. Just keep moving forward. It gets too easy to just. When you tee off and you've hit the ball out, just drop another ball and hit another one. And it's like, okay, I'm hitting 3. Okay, I'm hitting 5. Okay, I'm done with this hole. I just think, it went out over here. And again, it's probably the same thing as where the ball goes out. You can't go any closer to the hole than that, right?
Yeah, golf is a game of integrity. So you just, you're trusted to play the shot on your honor, and that's one of the cool things about golf is that, it's.
But have you had time to ever stop and go, oops, I just broke a rule? Because like you're moving so fast, there's got to be something else that you've done that's like, that's a no-no. Okay, call a penalty on myself. Really?
I've never had a problem with that. There was one incident, I think, on the 18th green after the first day. A guy, as he was going up to putt it, I think he putted it while the ball was still moving or something. Or I forget exactly what the situation was, but he basically just called a penalty on himself, added it to his score, and then, so it's. I guess he just treat it like you would with any normal round of golf.
Well, and that's while I was watching the video, I noticed that, how often do you putt the ball? You've got to you putt the ball and then you don't stand there and wait and watch the ball. Like you're following the ball, especially on a long putt. You putt it and you're following it all the way until it stops. You got to make sure it stops. Then you got to tap it in. Hopefully, if not, it's a 4 or 5 footer. You got to put it in, and like you said, you had a bunch of 3 putts.
Yeah, as soon as and the 3 putts, I don't think that I had weren't necessarily from bad putting. It's just the greens are really huge and undulating, and if you get anyone would have a difficult time. So in general, I felt like I putted well. It's just I put myself in a few bad places on that first day.
There's a couple different divisions that I saw on the scorecard there. There's the elite division, which you were part of. How did you qualify for that?
I based on my scores just as a professional in regular golf.
Oh, I see.
Plus the times that I had a number of years ago demonstrated, I guess, that one, I was a good golfer, and that two, I was capable of running fast enough to be competitive. So it was, they just looked at some prior running and golf results to make that determination.
And then there's an amateur division as well, and that's broken up by age.
There was an amateur division, yes, but to be honest, I don't remember how it was broken up.
Yeah, again, based on the scoring, what I saw in my research, it was based on, they have over 50, under 20, 20 to 29, 30 to 30, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So what I'm really fascinated is where and how do you practice? I mean, how can somebody say, yeah, I'm going to go to my local golf course and I want to play speed golf? Well, you can't just tee off at noon.
Right. That is one of the trickier things about it. So, one, either you got to be the first group off or the first person off.
Yeah.
For the day. So, which for some people that like running and like golf, you can go and get the first tee time and go out and play 9 holes or 18 holes and get your cardio done and then be off to work. So,
yeah, that's true.
So being the first off is one way to do it. Going in the last hour of the day is also another way to do it, because most people, there's not going to be someone on the first tee in most cases.
Oh, that's true. Because if you think you can do the round in an hour and a half, and the sun's going to set it, now it's setting at 5 o'clock. You can tee off at 3:30, because mostly by 3:30, people are on. The last group is generally on the 12th, 11th, 13th tee at that point.
Yeah, so you could do 9 holes maybe that way, and then
loop it.
Perhaps if you're out by yourself and there's several holes between you and the next group, or you and the group behind you can loop back and just play the holes,
So
play them over again, or adjacent holes, just run and do them twice. That's another way. I was kind of lucky. I got to practice at a country club that had very, very little traffic. So I was just able to go out virtually about any time of day and be able to do it. There'd only be a few people on the course. That's a kind of an unusual situation, but that's nice when you can have that.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I heard some guys would just play regular golf and then they'd go out and do their run separate.
It's 2 different games, though.
Right.
It's real.
So,
how do you? I mean, that's not training for a competition like that.
Yeah,
It just doesn't make sense to me.
A few times I went out and I did jogs with my bag, just regular city jogs. I live in the city, so I would just go out and jog with my bag, 300 yards, stop, put the bag down, rest for 10 seconds. It looked kind of funny.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm thinking about
I got some funny looks.
Driving down the street, and there's, I see joggers all the time, but there's a jogger with a golf bag. It's like, what's the matter, buddy? Did you lose your ball?
Yeah. I got some funny looks.
I can imagine.
But,
that's great. All right, well, let's wrap this up with what the tips. You just got into this. You trained for 2 months, and all of a sudden you're in the World Championships. Obviously, I don't want to. This isn't a derogatory statement, but there can't be a ton of competition if you can, just in that amount of time be part of the World Championships. You did get a chance to practice on that course ahead of time, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like a normal tournament. We had the tournament itself was 2 rounds on Saturday and Sunday, so they let us have practice rounds on Thursday and Friday for each of them.
What can you share with us? What tips would you like? Okay, I didn't know this going in, but now that I know it, let me tell you, here's what you need to know if you want to get into speed golf.
Well, if you want to get into speed golf, you and be competitive. You probably need to be able to shoot around par on a regular round of golf, and you probably need to be able to run 5 miles under 40 minutes. So if you can do that, then you have a chance at being fairly competitive.
Yeah, but you had no aha moment, no epiphany about the whole thing that you were doing. It's like, oh, shoot, I wish I would have known that. I mean, shoes. You're wearing normal golf shoes?
That's one thing that's different. Well, most of us will wear running shoes because that's a little bit easier to run in those.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just learning on the fly. Some guys, well, actually, a lot of the guys were wearing rain gloves because your hands start sweating.
That's a good one.
So even though you know it's not raining, your hands are getting soaked. So you don't want your hands to slip on the, and you don't have time to change gloves. So guys will just wear rain gloves. That's one. Guys will wear running shoes. The bags that we use are special carry bags. They're kind of like a half bag that you can grab in one hand and run with.
Mm-hmm.
Those are useful.
But Bandon is not because it's on the coast. It's on the Oregon coast, and it's generally foggy and windy and moist at the very least. Did you have any issues with slipping in your swing because you're not wearing any cleats at all?
No, I didn't. Maybe other people did, but I didn't. But
fascinating.
Maybe you've heard about guys practicing in their bare feet, or I think playing in running shoes also, at least for me, it helps me make a more controlled, imbalanced swing. Because if you're swinging all over the place, you'll slip and lose your balance. So playing in the running shoes was actually not a problem, and I think actually for me makes me swing a little bit better because I have to swing in control.
You have to be in balance.
Right.
Oh. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for letting me know that you were involved in this. You were right. This is a great topic for Golf Smarter. And again, if anybody's interested in seeing what Jaacob's doing on his website in his not only the speed golf, but also his swing speed training, you should check out swingmangolf.com. Jaacob, congratulations on being the 5th best speed golf person in the world for 2012.
Thanks.
That's pretty awesome. It's an honor to speak with you, sir.
If people want to watch this, the CBS was actually there filming the event.
Oh, cool!
And they're going to air a 30-minute documentary special on the Speed Golf World Championships before the third round of the upcoming Masters. So there's
for the 2013 Masters.
Yes. So if you'd like to watch it and just kind of see who these crazy people are running around the golf course.
And were you interviewed by these guys, by CBS?
Yeah. Since cool. I was one of the guys in contention, I was pulled away and interviewed. And I didn't. In the last day, I even though I knew I wasn't quite playing my best golf wise, I knew I was in contention because the last 3 holes I had the cameras following me on a cart. So
wow, because they couldn't run and keep up with you.
Yeah,
be on a cart.
right. So I don't know how it'll turn out, but I'm really curious to see what. I think it should be really cool. Bandon's a great place. Speed golf's a lot of fun. The people that get involved with it are really great people. So I'm looking forward to
everybody
seeing that.
Mark your calendars now for the Saturday of the Masters before broadcast to watch the 30-minute documentary special on the Speed Golf World Championships, and check out Jaacob Bowden in there. Jaacob, thanks so much for coming back on the show, and congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks. It's always fun.
Meow. Cat had to get into the show, huh?
Sorry about that.
Well, it's time once again for the Score Zone Short Game Academy with our wedge guy, Terry Kaler. Welcome back, Terry.
Hi, Fred. It's really nice to be back on with you.
Thank you very much for coming back on, because here on the Score Zone Short Game Academy, what we do is ask the audience to send in a question about their short game, and they go to golfsmarter.com, click on the Score Zone Short Game Academy button, submit a question, and if you choose their question, you award them with two things, actually three things. First, they get a Golf Smarter divot tool, the world's greatest divot tool. Second, they get a club of their choice, customized for them, a Score 4161 scoring club. And third, they get the answer to the question from the wedge guy. So it's a great deal all around, and I think it's a lot of fun. I've learned a lot, and we actually got a question in this time that I am really glad somebody asked, because it's something that plagues my game every single round, at least multiple times. And this one comes from Joshua Smith, and he's in Lake Crystal, Minnesota. And he says, I'm a high handicap golfer in the mid-20 range, and I've been trying to work on my short game. One thing that has always hurt me is when I'm around 15 yards or less to the green, and I don't get under the ball and it goes flying across the green. This has made me nervous when I'm using my low lofted clubs, especially the lob wedge. So he wants to get any advice he can. And again, this is something that I've worked on so many times. I've had video tips that I've worked on. I've done full show episodes about this. And it's the kind of thing that the only time I lose my temper on the golf course is when I do one of these and skull it, take a nice easy shot and it skulls and just flies across the green and ends up in the bunker on the other side. So please help me. Obi-Wan.
Well, Joshua, you have what we call wedge-epilepsy. And it really, because you've hit some bad shots now, you're very anxious when you hit that shot.
Yeah.
Now, I know you won't see this, Joshua, as an advantage, but the fact that you live in Minnesota and you won't see grass for 5 or 6 months, it's going to give you an opportunity to fix your wedge-epilepsy because it is a curable disease. And but what happens here is, I think the key, and I'm a literal guy, and I'm reading your note here, and it says, I don't get under the ball. So what it appears to me, Joshua, you're probably trying to do is help that ball in the air, and you're hitting up on the ball. Well, the only way you can hit up on the ball, because there is a planet Earth right under it, the only way you can hit up on the ball is to let that club head get ahead of your hands through the impact area, and you catch that ball right in the eyebrows or the forehead, as we say, and it goes flying across the green, as you described. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you a winter drill, and all you other guys that are lucky enough to live in the South, go out to the grass and do this.
And all those in Australia who are just getting their season started.
Yeah, I forgot you guys down under. I was just in New Zealand a few months ago. So yeah. Wonderful place. But anyway, so when you're hitting your short shots around the green, there's 3 keys that you have to zero in on. The first key is slow down everything. Forget this accelerate through the ball thing. Forget all of that and work in slow motion. This is like driving in a parking lot. You're going to be very careful. You're moving very slow, and you're maneuvering your car into a parking spot. And I talked about this in one of our previous podcasts. Go slow when you're around the green. That's the first key. The second key is the back of your left hand has to pass the ball from where you're looking at it before the club head gets to the ball. So you're leading your hands through the impact zone before that club head gets there. Because what causes you to hit that ball right in the forehead or the eyebrows, as we talk about, is when you stop your hands and you scoop at it and you take your right hand and you try to help that ball into the air. What you actually do is changing the arc of the swing, and that club head is moving upward. Well, you can't move upward if the ball is sitting on the earth and still get under it. So you hit that ball right in the forehead or right in the eyebrows, as I said, and it scoots across the green as you described. So the first tip is keep your tempo very slow. Practice hitting shots as slow as you can possibly swing the golf club. That allows you to focus on your technique of making sure your left side and your left hand and your left arm, all of those things are getting past the golf ball before the club head gets to the golf ball. That's very key. And the third thing is focus on the forward edge of the golf ball and not the back of the ball, not a spot behind the ball. Focus on the forward edge and make sure you just take your little soft, delicate swing in slow motion and you go through the golf ball, not at the golf ball. And have a stroke, have a swing, not a hit. And don't let yourself get so ball conscious. What happens is when we make a bad contact, whether it's a skull or a chunk or whatever, when we have a bad contact, we become very ball conscious and we start letting our focus flow away from the swing or the stroke we're trying to make, and we start focusing on the golf ball. When you do that, your pincher fingers of your right hand are going to take over trying to guide that club head to proper contact. Trust your left side, trust your lead, trust your swing, and while you're indoors this winter, set you up a sheet out in the garage or down in the basement or in your den and just chip golf ball after golf ball after golf ball until you're so confident you can make proper contact that when you get out on the grass in April or May, this will be gone. This little affliction you have will be gone, and you'll be in wedge-epilepsy remission.
I just love wedge-epilepsy. But let's... I want to dig deeper on this only because I do have this affliction as well, and I know that there's a confidence thing that goes on with it that I'm like, oh God, I don't want this shot. That's why for me, I'm not one to hit the ball as far as I can because I'm much more comfortable being 100 yards or 120 yards out than I am being 60 yards out, right? I don't want to be in that range where I have to half swings and things like that because that's when it gets into my head. So I definitely start walking up to it and start getting nervous about it. Help me, though, with my body position, my balance, and the stroke itself. Some have said it's just like a putting stroke that we want to do. Others have said make sure that your weight is on your left foot for a right-handed golfer, so that your weight is leaning forward.
Okay, well, let's outline some basics for both of you guys, because I got two wedge-epilepsy sufferers here, and there's probably a whole bunch of you other guys out there that you're closet wedge-elepsy sufferers. I've been there myself. Posture and setup is very important. When you're hitting a short shot, your weight needs to be about 70% on your left side. You're not doing a lot of lower body movement in that short stroke. Your backstroke is a shoulder turn, and you want to feel like, and I think I advised this in a podcast one or two times ago about go find videos on YouTube of Steve Stricker, and you'll see very few moving parts. The hands and the shoulders go back, your hands and the shoulders go through. It all looks like one moving part. Manage your golf swing with your body core, not your wrists and not your hands. This will help you in making solid contact. And it is much more like a putting stroke. It's like a grandfather clock, just back and through, back and through. And it's a very rhythmic tempo. It's not a hit at the ball. It's a stroke. And you think of it as a long putting stroke. And if you hit that pitch shot like a 120-foot lag putt, if you're on some big golf course with big giant greens, grip the club lightly, particularly with the pincher fingers, the thumb and the two fingers of your right hand, because that's where we're going to engage our right hand coordination and our eye hand coordination. Grip the club very lightly in those pincher fingers, because grip tension is the killer on this shot. If you're holding the club very lightly, Fred and Joshua, you cannot swing quickly with a light hold on the golf club. It just doesn't, you can't do it. So lighten your grip, slow down your pace, set your posture with your weight on your left side, and think about pulling the club through. I talked again, I'm going back to repeating myself, but I talked in another podcast about you've got a linkage here. You've got a golf club, you've got a linkage at your wrist, at your elbow, and at your shoulder. You got three places this thing can hinge. So you have, in essence, 4 links of a chain. So what you want to do is pull a chain. You can't push a chain, right?
Right.
So you pull the club through the ball, and if you do that, the club head is going to be the last thing to the golf ball. The ball is positioned just back of center. When you have a narrow stance, your weight's a little on your left side. But what you want to focus on is a rhythmic, smooth, effortless stroke of the club rather than a swing or a hit, particularly not a hit.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Terry. Listen, before we go, I have this idea that I would like to do. Upcoming on our next members-only episode, I would like to invite you to come back on and let's go through, we've been getting so many questions, and obviously you can't answer all of them, but maybe we can pick a couple, and I'm sorry, that's going to be up to Terry and his marketing crew whether these people get a free WED Scoring Club or not. But how about if we pick 2 or 3 questions and we do a members-only episode on the next episode? Could you come back for that?
No, that'd be great. Love to do that. We'll do a little deeper dive into some questions that take a little more time and hopefully give your guys some real value.